Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on our free to play account and we're going to be breaking down the signature items when it comes to heroes in AFK Arena. Now, overall, there are a couple heroes that do work incredibly well at a plus 20. There are some that require an absolute plus 30 signature item. And there are also heroes that really excel and shine when you get a plus 40 signature item. But the cost of the plus 40 signature item is very, very expensive. Even looking at a low level at Rem having a plus 9 signature item, this needs to be about a 20 to see her really shine. That is the reason why when it comes to these tier lists, it is important to build the heroes out. So let's hop over to Tier Maker and break out the tier list, looking at the utility of a lot of different heroes. So here we are looking at it, and I broke this into kind of two subsections. You can see the plus 40 and the plus 30 signature items. Now this is based on the utility tier list, and this is based on the minimums. Now you have to know that when it comes to tier lists, they are super subjective to the heroes you have and also the resources that you do have to build out these heroes. But as you can see, we have a plus 40 and a plus 30 based on that very top SSS tier. Also have the secondary SS tier and then S. Below that, really getting any of the heroes to a 30 or 40 signature item is your own personal preference. There's not really a big part. As we continue to get more heroes released in AFK Arena, depending where they fall in the tier list, keeping your resources and making sure that you really do utilize this. So let's go ahead and run through it. So top tier, and again, when you look at this SS tier and really going into the 40 signature items, a lot of these are damage dealers or they have an incredible amount of utility with the plus 40 signature item. Now also note that this is the recommended build. Based on that utility tier list, it is the recommended build looking at the plus 40, because first of all, we do have Envy. Now we know as a solo hero, as a damage dealer, even if you get a mythic with a signature item, he does incredibly well, really utility-wise. He is every place in AFK Arena. When we look at comps, multiple game modes, he is being used everywhere. Same with Liberta. Now, both of these heroes, if you really want to see the damage shine, it does work incredibly well when you get that plus 40 signature item. Not only for the stats that you're adding in there, but the plus 40 signature item also does add a little bit more utility with a new ability that unlocks at that 40. Then we have Aurelia in here. Now, again, a lot of these heroes, looking at Envy, looking at Liberta, even looking at Aurelia, will work at a plus 30 signature item. Plus 40 just shines a little higher. You'll have a little bit more utility, and you'll be pushing the envelope a little bit further. Then, of course, if you redeemed your chest, we have Shahan, and then we also do have Sun Jin Woo in here as well. Plus 40 signature items as it sits right now is required for both of them to really exceed. And again, this is the optimal build. The awakened version of Athalia, you can see coming down the tier list a little bit. But again, damage dealer plus 40 signature item going to make a really big difference. Even looking at land plus 40 signature item. Now doesn't require the engraving on land, but overall that signature item will have a big difference, as well as the furniture at that ascended level. And then Leviathan, we did build up to the plus 40. It is massive for the ability that it has. Again, some of these heroes do really require the plus 40 signature item to shine. Then we look at the SSS tier and looking at a plus 30. Now, again, these are going to be heroes that, again, you can take to a 40 if you choose to, but a plus 30 is the recommended build on them. We have Demia in here, of course, running the collection with Mahira. Being able to cheat death for the entire team is huge. Then we have Lucila in here. Again, Liberta Lucila does run together incredibly well. Misha is another one where a plus 30 will work. Plus 40 optimizes the defense. That she needs to really shine. Then we do have Lavatune in here, rounding out those SSS tier heroes. And they really are the top tier heroes. Even when you look at Athalia, when you look at Liberta, when you look at Envy, most of them are best in slot in formations. And if you do not have those heroes, you're building different formations in the entirety because they are the damage dealer. And then, of course, some of the very, very strong support heroes we do see in here as well. Then we get into, again, this third tier or the third down SS really classification with a plus 40 signature item. Again, you'll note a lot of the damage dealers in here. We have right here, and a lot of players were questioning, with the awakened version of Estrilda, do we need the plus 40 signature item? That is what really amplifies the damage that she does, not only herself, but also the armor that is given to the rest of the other team. And I believe it is like a 75% increase, which is insane for the amount of utility that she has, even though she's a tank. The utility in the buffing aspect and the damage aspect in her does incredibly well, meaning she's going to hold the utility for a little while. Now we have Leica in here. This is one, again, I'm not seeing as much utility out of Leica, but overall the plus 40 will allow her to shine. We know the energy regeneration that she has in there, as well as some of the damage mitigation and the ability, kind of unique, to come into teams. We have Nox in here. Again, Nox can solo a ton of content with the Slumbering Seal. It's kind of crazy because he's so incredibly hard to kill. At a plus 40, it's going to increase his survivability. Thorin kind of requires it. Then we get into some of the damage dealers, looking at Skyland, looking at Halia, looking at Scion, looking at Marseille. All of them are very big, best in slot damage dealers within formations. Halia, depending on where she's being used, but Skyland overall, when we look at Treasure Scramble and a couple other places, does incredibly well and usually is the highest damage dealer. Same with Scion, same with Marseille. We are seeing them with a lot of utility. Then we look at some of our support heroes. Right here, we do have Lysander. Now, overall, when he was released, never really found a place. Once he did, he has been kind of solidified in a lot of different teams, doing incredibly well with the Knight and the Rook and the King. How he works systematically around chess pieces does and is really bringing a lot of buffs. Same with Saramina. I'm seeing a lot of buffs, seeing a lot of very big burst damage out of her. Plus 40 signature item, again, is the optimal build. Chimera is in here, again, very unique on what she does, the ability to keep teams alive. Then we have Gavis in here, damage mitigation, again, doing incredibly well. Now, plus 30, as we can see right here, this is the SS30. We do have Randy in here. We have Rumaru, Amelia, and a couple other heroes that will really shine at the plus 30. Again, if you're building them to a plus 40, utility does go up a little bit. It will give them access to, again, another ability at the plus 40, some more stats, but it is not the big priority. We have Shuna in here, we have Velfera, and then we also do have Ivan in here. I just built Ivan to a plus 30 signature item, allowing that puppet ability to actually add more energy. Now, when we look at heroes like Palmer, again, crit damage amplification does super well. We have Zora in here, Aethys, which becomes an absolute wall of a tank. Rem in here with a plus 30 damage amplification goes through the roof. Also, the energy regeneration that she has on herself, being able to boost it up and ult much faster in battle. Naruko, the healing, the tank, the support with Nadia works incredibly well. We have Lyos in here at a plus 30. Iran, and again, damage dealing wise, Iran at a plus 30 or 40 will do well. Systematically or functionality, he still works very well at a plus 30. Same with Sophia and Trishia in here to round out that SS tier. Then we get into the bottom tier, kind of this S tier. And again, anyone under here, I'm not going to show, I'm not going to go through. You can build the 20s, you can build the 30s as you do need. But when we start looking at Lucius and the Awakened version of Belinda, both of them, again, not as much utility than we've traditionally seen, which is the reason why they're a little bit lower in the tier list. But absolutely, Lucius needs a very big build out with the SP effect to have the skills and abilities, the baseline to translate that into attack, crit rating, everything of that nature, meaning he does need a big build. The Awakened version of Belinda, the exact same, running the Divine Power, does a lot of damage if you do have her built out. Same with Eugene, the recommended build on there is a plus 40 signature item. Then when we look at the S tier within the plus 30, this is a lot of heroes that have utility in formations. Not quite as much as we're seeing from those top heroes, but they are kind of the sub heroes. They are kind of the secondary heroes that will drop in formations. And even thinking bigger picture with a lot of the guides, these are heroes that will fill a bunch of different slots. Some of them more of a niche formation in combination with some other heroes, because we do have the Chad right here, which is with Theo, Adrian and Lee still being used in a couple places to amplify damage. We have Hildwyn with the survivability. Nyla still shows up with a damage. Draconic version of Gwen still does show up a couple different places for the damage. We have Tamara in here with that enthusiasm buff. Again, it's still showing within a few different places. Kelthan, not really as much, but Alvida is still being used. Again, in a few formations, she does pop up every now and then. Meleon is another one based on Draconic heroes. We're seeing them run and being able to amplify the damage that some of those Draconic heroes are doing. Rosalind, again, the way that she does ultimate abilities and having and giving the ability for a hero to ult twice, it seems like she still keeps coming back. Only in here for the utility, the defensive mechanic, not only in the campaign, but also in the treasure scramble. Rain does the damage amplification. Lady Simona is burning energy like crazy. We've seen her run a lot with the Awakened version of Shamira. Goran does provide some buffs, and then a couple other heroes down here, just a little bit of older heroes. Overall, going to have a lot of utility within tower formations. And of course, like I said, when you're building them up to a +10 and a +20 signature item, a lot of the other heroes in here will really be dependent on who you have built and how many of these heroes you do have built in the entirety. So I hope it clarifies it a little bit, guys. And let me know in the comments if you want me to do kind of the same thing with engraving. Again, I kind of cross-reference what the signature items were recommended on the utility tier list to build this out, to show you exactly who to build and who to prioritize when it comes to building out the signature items. But that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.